Hi, my name is Wilma Saul. I live in Nelson County, within Bardstown, Nelson County, Kentucky. And with me today,
I'm Lynne Potter, and I've been a community member here since 2000.
And I've been a community member here since about 2000 as well, 2001. So we basically moved in Nelson County about the same time, which is interesting.
We have a lot in common.
We do.
We end up finding out about things like that as we go.
And you'll find out more about that as we go along with this show. And we're going to be talking a lot about current events. And I know some of you out there think that women are not passionate about basketball, but boy, are we. Lynne made a trek to New York today, or this over the weekend, to visit her mom. And she's going to show you what she brought back from New York, what they're talking about up there.
Well, it's really interesting because my husband really likes to pick up the New York Post. And so we picked this up as we left town yesterday, the New York Post. And there's this huge article in here about the Knicks president, Phil Jackson, and how he should be, maybe making a phone call to John Calipari to see if he wants to return to the NBA ranks as the Knicks coach. So I thought that was really interesting.
Don't do it, Cal. Rick Pitino made the same mistake when he went to, the New York Knicks. So let's keep you in Kentucky. We like you here. We love the players. I actually went to Indianapolis.
How was that? I was so envious. And let me tell you that we arrived Friday night in upstate New York, and we took over my in-laws' TV so we could watch the game because it was such a huge deal. I was very jealous of it.
It was a nail biter, let me tell you. It was a nail biter. Saw the first game, which was exciting, but we were pumping up for the UK U of L game. Both teams, I have to say, are amazing. They're both amazing. You can't ask for better players. Even at the end, after U of L lost, Russ Smith went in the locker room, from my understanding, and congratulated the UK players, which is amazing. What great sportsmanship. You can't ask for any better. The UK players, they were thankful to have made it that far because they have had a really rough season. It was crazy. The fans were amazing. The fan base of both schools were amazing. I've never experienced a tournament game like that, so it was great.
Well, I'm not one to really watch basketball, but you cannot ignore what's happening. I'm just really proud to live in a state where both universities got to be in the Sweet 16 and play against each other. That's huge. I mean, and I have some other relatives and some friends that are naysayers about Kentucky because they don't care for Pitino and they don't care for Calipari. Say what you want about the coaches. I myself think that it's all about both teams, and the players have done an enormous job just to get to the point where they are. So I'm very, very proud of both teams.
Yeah, and with saying that, let's keep it clean. We have young children and teenagers watching and monitoring how we perceive ourselves with these games.
So were there any fights?
Oh, Lynn. Yes, there were.
I can't imagine there'd be fights at that arena.
It was crazy. Like I said, I'd never experienced anything like that before. But right next to where my husband and our other couple that went with us, Carla and Donald, were sitting, there was this gentleman. He was a U of L fan. He wanted you to know he was a U of L fan, which is great that they're there. But when you're saying really, really nasty words, there's no place for that, and I want all UK people to die. I hate them. That was unacceptable, and there were children around where parents had to remove their children.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, it was really sad.
Well, what are some of the age ranges that you saw for the children that were there? Hopefully they wouldn't have real little ones out that late at night.
From a newborn all the way up until
goodness.
Yeah, up until 100 years old.
I guess if you're a fan, you're a fan. You're going to find a way to bring your kids no matter what.
And there was a UK player we saw right in front of us get arrested.
What?
Yeah, probably alcohol intoxication maybe. But yeah, he did get arrested. Then coming out of the stadium, there was a UK and a U of L fan. He started a fight with a UK fan. And then on the way to our car, it was interesting. We were walking to our car, which was a couple blocks away. And as we were walking, this gentleman was walking next to us, and he was a U of L fan. And I looked over at him, and I said, "Hey, you be safe going home." And he looked at me, and he looked like he was wiping a tear. And I'm not sure if he was.
It just makes it a better story.
But yeah, it does make it a better story. But he really, truly was wiping a tear. And I felt so bad for him. And I said, you be safe going home. And he said, well, you all too. And I said, well, they played a really, really good game. Louisville won last year. You all have nothing but to be proud of your team. And
that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. And he said, you all too, and you all be safe going home. And hopefully just that little gesture of goodwill made his trip home a little bit better. I'm not sure, but I hope so. But we all need to learn lessons from this. And I think some of the lessons that we need to learn is kindness, compassion. There's only going to be one team standing in the very end. And hopefully it's UK now. But if we would have lost, we would have hoped, I personally would have hoped that it was U of L because it's a state thing. Right. After one of our team loses, it is a state thing. So let's keep this state going, and every other year we bring it back somehow.
Gosh, I hope the Knicks president doesn't make a phone call to Calipari. That would just be brutal because, he has the position of being one of the best, coaches. And he's at a good point right now where he is. He doesn't need to be leaving and going anyplace.
Yeah, he's done a really good job with Kentucky. And, we saw the youngness of this team from the very beginning. And then we really saw the youngness of Coach Calipari's UK Wildcats as the season progressed and they were losing games at home in Rupp. You don't lose games at Rupp. But we can let all that slide now and forget about that because of where they have been right now. They're going to the Final Four. And, these kids are young. We have to remember that. They're still 18, 19, 20 years old. Looking back on my son, what do these kids do at 18, 19? They still don't have that grown maturity that
Absolutely.
We think that they should have. And in essence, they're still young.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know if... I gotta tell you this story because this tells you how ignorant I am to college basketball. When I did move here in 2000, it was March of 2000, and I had already enrolled my kids in soccer because I wanted to get them to meet new friends and everything. Mm-hmm. And so I was at a soccer game in March, and somebody asked me if I knew the score for UK, and I'm like, why are they talking about United Kingdom? I have no idea.
Well, soccer and UK, yeah.
And you got to think, my kids were 8 and 12. I wasn't really thinking about
basketball
that much. I had just moved. I was trying to get into the, transition into the community. So I can tell you that we lived in northern Indiana on the border of Michigan. So it was Michiana, just like here it's Kentuckiana. Mm-hmm. And so I was really happy to see Michigan win. Before the big game on Friday night, I got to see Michigan the last few minutes of the game win, and I was really proud of them. And, so I kind of have, over the years, got to, be a Michigan fan and a Notre Dame fan. And
UK fan.
UK fan, absolutely. I can tell you my son went to UK for a couple of years, and so if I'm going to be a fan of either side, it probably would be Kentucky just because he had gone to school.
I knew we would convert her. I knew there's UK fans everywhere in the ranks. We're just converting them all one at a time.
We live in a house divided because my husband likes U of L, and he says that the reason why he likes U of L is because the players end up staying there. So I know that there is also talk about how University of Kentucky players will sometimes have a one and done. Mm-hmm. And they don't really stay. So, I think regardless, like I said before, kudos to both teams.
Kudos to both teams, and we're going to leave that one at that. So this weekend, Saturday night, I think UK plays at 6 o'clock maybe. I'm not sure of the time, but we will be there. Watch it. It's going to be a great rivalry, and then we're going to hope that UK and Florida are the last two standing, because the SEC is actually a really strong conference. So,
sweet,
SEC, nice. We like it. And we're going to move along. Lynne bought a book, and she wants to share that with you. We both went to a meeting last Friday.
Last Friday, we were at Sisters of Nazareth, and they put on a human trafficking conference. They had a panel, but they invited a guest to talk about her new book, Walking Pray, and it's Holly Austin Smith. And this was very compelling. She read part of her story as how she got into prostitution at age 14. And part of the reason why she got into prostitution at age 14, she was lured into it when she went to a shopping mall. I mean, it was during the 80s. There wasn't the internet for kids to get on and make connections with others. So it was when she went to a shopping mall with her friends that she was lured into meeting up with this man who over a period of time convinced her to run away from home. And she had no idea that he was going to bring her into the world of prostitution. And she shared that she was sexually abused when she was under 10 years old, and that her parents really did not support her or get her counseling. And I think that's so important because we really need to make sure our youth get some counseling. And in those days, I don't think counseling was brought up as much. There might have been a stigma associated with getting counseling.
Yeah, and too, I think back when we were young, it just wasn't as prevalent, and they just wanted to hide the issue. And we know now with internet and the TV and the news, things aren't hidden as well anymore as it used to be. So,
yeah, I think that we also, Wilma and I have been working on we're both chair and co-chair of the Community Path Coalition. It's to substance abuse prevention for the youth in our community. And we're holding a town hall meeting that the two of us have been organizing. It's going to be held at Thomas Nelson High School, and it is May the 15th. And it's going to be open to anybody in the community, and we want to have a good turnout so we can educate the community about internet safety, human trafficking,
drug prevention.
So we have talked with our police department, and if you want to tell them a little bit about what the police department is going to be doing.
Yes. In speaking with Sheriff Campbell, we're hoping to have the new K-9 units there. They're going to be addressing the community about how they serve the community in their capacity. It's important for us to know that they're there to keep us safe and to slow down and stop the use of illegal drugs in our community. I was at a conference not long ago, and the number one thing that state is they're having a hard time hiring people in our area because of failed drug tests. So we have to, and it is true, everywhere I go, we have 90 applicants for a job and only 15 of them will pass the drug test.
That's really sad.
Yeah. So we need to start working more towards treatment. I had suggested at one time, why are we just letting these candidates go? Why don't we help them get into treatment facilities and then get them a job, and then if they stay clean, they will be hired full time. I would like to see something like that happen because I think it's important. That's why a lot of people turn to drugs is for money, and they want to support their families, but it's not the right way to support your families.
So it kind of ties into everything all together. You've got you've got the drugs and prostitution and human trafficking and internet safety, and it all ties in together.
We'll be having Sergeant Scott Harvey from the Nicholasville Police Department. He is a DARE officer there, and he has a great program to talk to parents about internet safety. My previous job, I worked at Washington County Schools, and we had him there to speak to the kids. New Haven and Boston has had him there, and back earlier in the year, and we're now fortunate to get him at Foster Heights, some of the local schools.
It'll be at OKH, OKH, our middle school.
And our evening program that night. But parents, if you don't know a lot about the internet, he's going to show you some things to be checking on, how to check on your kids, how to put blocks on them. He can talk to you about what kids are looking at. And this is kid friendly too. Don't think that you can't bring your kids, bring them. And we're going to be serving food between 5 and 6, so there's a free dinner if you RSVP.
Yay!
Yay, free dinner.
And I think that Christy Van Devender, she's with our New Haven and Boston school, she had said when Scott Harvey came out there and talked to her middle school students about internet safety that they thought it was such a wonderful program. They thought that he was a really cool guy. He has a connection with, of course, with their youth. And so they are still talking about him. And I think that we also need to know that with summer coming,
kids are going to be bored.
Right, exactly. And we need to be mindful of how much internet time our kids are going to be involved with, and just making sure that there's a way to monitor that. And I think it'll be a great educational experience for the whole community. So come on out on May 15th. I think we're going to we're slowly still putting the last details of things together with our Path Coalition Council as far as the food and RSVP to make sure that we have enough food. So you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the newspaper and in the media.